All right, shalom, shalom. I'm going to start off this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone that rule well, that teach well, while learning truth 100% according to the Bible. I also want to say shalom to the elect, the 144,000 men, the prophets, the servants scattered abroad, four corners of the earth. And I also want to say shalom to the Akwaf, which are you few sisters that are sincere in your children, shalom. And in today's video is going to be another video I got here. We're basically going to look into it where you got this woman complaining about, basically how America is, the state is in, basically, and, the prophets of the Lord have been warning you people about these things forever, that this place America was going to come to its end. And we're in the beginning stages of seeing this place fall, man. This place is finished, so that's probably what I'm going to name this video, is that Babylon is finished, but I'm going to get into this video. And we're going to listen to what it is this woman is saying. And I'm going to get a few precepts. And Lord's willing, I pray it be edifying. So with that being said, fair use under 1976 Copyright Act. I'm not getting paid for this video. This is only for educational purposes only. So with that being said, fair use.
That America as we know it has ended. And I think, I'm just going to say it in the way that I think it. It's hard to wrap your brain around the idea that America is over. I read the article, and it took exactly 9.5 minutes. I read the article and put it on a TikTok right before this because I don't ever want to lose this article, and I'll put it on the tube because, TikTok. But this one hurts. It is an unbelievably good article that talks about the electorate of the United States. If you take into consideration any of the reason why they let in Trump, whether they believed him, whether they didn't believe him, whether they weren't smart enough to believe him, that because they voted this narcissistic maniac into, or psychopath really, into the highest position, we have changed the way that the world.
Right. And we see basically what it is she's saying, but what these people fail to understand, or what they don't understand, or ultimately what they don't know, is that ultimately Yahweh Shai is the one that's controlling the mind of Donald Trump, man. It tells you in Proverbs 21:1 that the king's heart, meaning his mind, is in the hands of the Lord. He turneth it whithersoever he will. And it tells you that, in the book of St. Matthew, chapter 10, verse 29, that not even a sparring, or a leaf basically falls from the tree without the Lord having knowing of it. So ultimately, Yahweh Shai is the one that put Donald Trump into position, man. He's the one that set Trump up to be the president, because like the woman is saying, America is over, man. And Trump is going to be the one that bring it to his end. And we see that with everything he's ultimately doing with these tariffs, with making enemies more and more around the world, constantly building up the World War III that's soon to come due to his threats that he's making towards people. So, this place America is done, man. So I'm going to go to this precept right here. This is Jeremiah chapter 51. And I'm going to start at verse 9. It said, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies, right? So that's what's happening. This place, America's sin, is reached up to the heavens, man. The Lord, Yahweh Shai, is tired of ultimately the place that this country is, how wicked it is, how the people just easily commit sin, how, homosexuality and everything in this country is promoted. This country promotes everything that's dark, man. And it goes against the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shai. And the main ones that are, partaking in these things are the Lord's people, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. So that's ultimately why we see this place going down moment by moment, minute by minute, second by second, and these are all part of those plagues, man. That's why you got a lot of people complaining about not being able to find jobs and things of that nature. Is getting more tough for them and stuff like that, but we know ultimately this stuff is only going to continue to get worse and worse, man, and America is not going to make a great comeback, man. Like a lot of you people like to believe, you drunk off in the Babylon juice, and you believe that Donald Trump, the lies that he have told you, right along when you people went down there and voted for him like you always do, believing that everything he told you he said he was going to do, he was going to do. And a lot of these people are the same people that, they voted for this guy. Now they're having regrets because they're seeing everything that which it is that he said he was going to do. He didn't do, man. And that's ultimately because he's not the one that's in control. The Heavenly Father, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, is in control, man. And I'm going to go to a precept just proving that, right? This is Proverbs chapter 19, verse 21 in the KJV. It said there are many devices, right? Meaning tricks, cunnings, ways, thoughts, right? In a man's heart, meaning his mind. Nevertheless, the counsel of the Lord, that shall stand. So guess what? The counsel of the Lord is being operated and being implemented through the mind of Trump, because the Lord is the one that's controlling this devil, making him do the things in which it is he's doing, man. And that's ultimately to bring down this place, America, because the Lord is judging this place, man. Like I just read in Jeremiah 51:9, due to the sins and the wickedness and everything that's partaken in this country, the Lord is not playing with this place, man. And that's what we've been telling you, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, to turn back around and repent and to turn back to your power, man, because, these things are only going to get worse from here. No good times is coming back to America, man. That mirth spirit that everybody been in, having fun and partying and living life like it's golden, and that YOLO spirit, all of that's coming to an end, man. The mirth is coming to a cease, man, and the Lord is bringing that to an end, because he's getting ready to bring forth a lot of judgment, So I'm going to read this. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15. And I'm going to read verse 5. It said, behold, saith the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction, right? And we see what those plagues are, with all of these jobs that are being closed down in America, all of these women being laid off right along with these men, Donald Trump coming down, heavy upon, the food stamps and all of these different types of things that are happening in this economy that's ultimately, hurting you people severely. Those are all part of the plagues, right? Going back into what I said, the Lord controls the minds of these men, and these are the things that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua wants to be brought forth, man, just like it says in Isaiah 46. I'm going to go to that. Bear with me. Isaiah chapter 46, verse 9. But the point is at verse 10, but I'm going to read 9. It said, remember the former things of old, for I am Yahweh, and there is none else. I am Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, and there is none like me. Verse 10, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure, right? Just furthermore proving that the Lord is the one that's orchestrating it all. And this was, designed and predestined from the beginning. You can read about it in the book of Daniel chapter 2, about the kingdoms, the tolls. America is coming to an end, man, and this was already predestined from the beginning for this collapse and this place to fall, man. This is that last queendom, before ultimately the Lord makes his second return and establishes his kingdom that's going to be an everlasting kingdom, as it tells us in the book of Daniel chapter 7. But this place, America, is done, man. And it was all set up by the Lord for it to happen. So I'm going to read this again. This 2nd Ezra chapter 15. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction, right? And soon to come, that's what you're about to start seeing taking place in America. It's already happening on a small scale. But like I said, just wait till, like this woman is saying, she know that America is over. Now wait till the rest of these people realize that, because there's a lot of people, that ultimately don't believe that this place is done. Like I said, they still drunk off the Babylon juice. They still thinking that this place is going to make a comeback sooner or later. They think that this is just a slump that this country is going through, but sooner or later it's going to recoup and come back. That's what these people believe. They're still holding on to that false hope that this place is not done, that it'll make a comeback, but it's not, And once they realize that, that's when people are really going to lose their minds, man, because they're going to realize that, oh, man, this place is over, man. Everything that we thought once upon a time was the greatest country on earth, is coming to an end, man. And these people are not going to know how to take it, especially these Edomites, man. Because you see, they're the main ones complaining all over the internet, these women and these men, about how unfair and how bad it's getting here in America for them, man. Right. And that goes into what the Lord said in Deuteronomy 30:7, and I'm going to go to that, because ultimately, Jake, our people, they're used to suffering, they're used to going through hell. They're used to always being at the bottom. They're used to, suffering and going without things. But these other heathen nations, these people have been living good the most over here in America. So, they've been reaping the main benefits. That's why you see them being the most people that are complaining, because ultimately they've been the ones living more comfortable and luxurious over here in this place, America. Jake ain't really been living luxury, man. Our people just been getting enough money just to get by, but these other heathens, they're really starting to feel the effect of this place, America, going down because, like I said, things are not how it used to be, for these Edomites and all these other nations, right? But this is Deuteronomy 30:7, and this is all part of prophecy, and we're starting to see that shift take place in front of our eyes, man. We're seeing that, as it tells you in 2nd Ezra 6:9, that Esau is the ending of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And that's what we're seeing happening through the people, how everything is shifting in the world. We're shifting between worlds and we're slowly, coming out of this one, right? This wicked society, this wicked eon, this wicked age that's being ruled and wickedness. And we're coming into that new world, which is going to be reigned in righteousness by our Lord Yahushua. And we're starting to see all of the curses that were once upon a time upon us being put on our enemies, like the Lord said it would, right? This is Deuteronomy 30:7 in the KJV. It says, "And the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee," right? So as you can see, that's why you got a lot of these different nations that are complaining over the internet, about how unfair life is and things of that nature, and, complaining and crying their eyes out. Because like I said, these people been living at ease in this place, America. It been the walk in the park for them. Everything been set up for these people to win and flourish. But now they see all of that coming to an end and these people don't know how to behave, So I'm going to get back into the video so we can finish listening to what it is the woman is saying, But like I said, this place, America, is done.
World sees America and the way that the world is going to deal with America. We have made it so the rest of the world knows that we are not worth having on their side. To quote somewhat from the article, the elected in Europe doesn't want to put their futures on the voters of Wisconsin every 4 years. And they're right. He talks about how the American dollar may not be the baseline anymore, and how even if Trump took everything back tomorrow, if he said, and we know he's not, if he said, "I've made a mistake," and everything just goes back to normal, kind of like all of us are wishing that we were Dorothy in Kansas and we could just click our shoes 3 times and that we could get it back. All of us are wishing that we were Dorothy in Kansas and we could just click our shoes 3 times and that we could get it back. All of us are wishing that we were Dorothy in Kansas and we could just click our shoes 3 times and that we could get it back.
Right, and you hear what she's saying, because ultimately, like I said, she knows that this place is over, man. And right along with a lot of other these Edomites, that are in this place, America, they know this country is done, man. Only people don't know it ultimately are you Jakes out there that are blind, that are not paying attention to the things that are happening in the world. But these devils, they knows that this place, America, is through, man. And that's how we know that sooner or later that, violence and chaos is coming to this place, America. Because these people are not going to know how to behave once they realize that their dream world, right? Because this is like Disney World, this place, America, to these Edomites. And once they realize that, it's over, right along with 2/3 of our people as well, these people are not going to know how to behave. They're going to bug out now. And that's why you're going to have so much chaos coming in the near future, because this place is finished,
Today with the stock market and everything else, it torched us.
Right. And as she said, the stock market crashing, jobs being foreclosed, businesses closing down, all of these different things are happening in this place. And the Lord is the one that's doing it, right? Going back into what I read in 2nd Ezra 15:5, And I'm going to actually read this precept right here. This is Amos chapter 3, verse 6, right? And it says, shall a trumpet be blown in the city and the people not be afraid? That trumpet represents this word of the Lord that's going out to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, telling you to repent and telling you that the Lord is getting ready to shake this place, America, up, man. You know, and these Edomites, they're feeling it, like I said, because they're ultimately the ones at the top. So everything that's happening in this economy is affecting them the worst, right? It says, shall there be evil in the city and the Lord have not done it? That word evil meaning bad times, you know, and that's what we see happening in this place, America. Bad times happening for all of these people. But we know this ultimately goes back into the pride, you know, because a lot of people in this country are very prideful, especially these Edomites and these other 2/3 of our people that not turn back to Yahweh Shem Yahushua. These people been living in pride and arrogancy the whole time they've been in this country, America, you know, boasting their riches, boasting the money that they may have, you know. It tells you that that's going to happen in the last days, you know, and I'm going to go to that, you know, just touching on that. 2 Timothy chapter 3, you know, and I'm going to start at verse 1 because this is basically how people will be in the last days. And we can see that in the behavior of these people. And that's ultimately why the Lord is bringing these plagues upon this place, because of the wickedness, because of the pride, because all of these things that these people in this country holds on to, man. Mainly you 2/3 of the nation of Israel, because you are the people of the Lord. These damn heathens, the Lord doesn't care about them, but ultimately he cares about his people, man, and how they're behaving, you know, because it tells you that his people's sin have outweighed the wicked, you know, roughly paraphrasing that you got more Jakes and Eves out here being wicked than these devils, man. That's why the Lord is really about to bring forth judgment, right? So this is 2 Timothy 3, and I'm going to start at verse 1, but the point is at verse... what verse? Let me see. The verse is at 2 and 3, but I'm gonna read 1. It said, "This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come." Right. The word perilous goes to a times full of, you know, uncertainty. And that's the times that we're living in here now in this place, Babylon the Great. These people are in that spirit of uncertainty. They don't know what's going to take place at what given time. They just know that something bad is soon going to happen to this place, especially the people that are watching, you know, that may not be in the truth, but they're still watching and looking at the stock markets and things of that nature. You know, they know that this place, America, is destined to go down. Right. That's why these people are complaining. That's why you see them on the internet crying their eyes out and not knowing what to do and panicking, because they know that this ship is sinking, you know. So this is verse 2. It said, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, right? Covetous, boasters, right? Proud, because that's what I wanted to get. That's the point right there. This is the signs that we see happening in this place, America, proving that we're at the end. You see all of these characteristics that I'm reading, and you can just look at the people in this society, and that's either one or all of the qualities that they possess. You know, mainly the 2/3 of our people and these other heathen nations, but mainly for you Israelites, because we know that salvation is only for the Lord's people. And you are the ones that are being wicked the most, you know. So ultimately, this is what we see amongst our own people, man. You know, it said proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful and unholy, man. Right. And I really just wanted to touch on that point of pride, because that's what the reason why the Lord is bringing forth all of these miseries. And I'm going to go to this precept right here. This is 2nd Esdras, chapter 8. I'm going to read two different translations. I'm going to read 2nd Esdras 8 and 50 in the GNTA, and I'm going to read it in the 1611 KJV, right? But it says, the people of this world who have lived their lives in pride and arrogance will suffer many things in the last days, right? And that's what we're beginning to see, that a lot of these people that have been living comfortable, living prideful, being arrogant, you know, thinking that they, you know, this place, America, is going to last forever. They could continue to live and thrive in their wickedness. All of that, you know, is coming to an end, man. And these people are seeing that. And like I said, that's why they're crying. That's why they're panicking. That's why everybody's in a pitiful case right now. That's why these people continuing to, you know, crash out left and right, because they know that this place is over, right? And they don't want it to end. But, you know, it's predestined for this place to fall, man. You know, all kingdoms, or queendoms, I should say, throughout history, they all had a certain time period that they ruled and they were done away with. You know, look at the Babylonian Empire with Nebuchadnezzar, then the Medo and the Persians. You know, every time period, there's a kingdom that happens, and, you know, it only rules for a matter of time, and then the Lord brings it down. You know, it tells you that in the scriptures that, you know, the Lord sets up and he throws down, you know, roughly paraphrasing it. So There's a time and place for everything, man. And we're living in that time now of the downfall of this place, America, that this place is ran its course, is coming to its end, right? So this is second Esdras 8 and 50 in the 1611 KJV. It says, for many great miseries, right? And I'm going to look at that word miseries for edification's sake. So just so we can get a little, understanding of what these people's mindset are in this place, America. They're in miseries right now. These people are, and the meaning of that word goes into a state or feeling of great distress or discomfort of mind or body. And when you go into similar words, it goes into unhappiness, hardships, right? Because that's what these people are going through, hardships, not being able to pay their bills, getting kicked out of their houses, being fired from their jobs, suffering, affliction, anxiety, anguish, unhappiness, right? Because everybody in this country is ultimately, rather than the people of the Lord that know what times it is that we're living in and knowing that the Lord is the one judging this place, the rest of these people that are not in the know, these people are unhappy, man. They're sad. That's why they're always on the internet crying, man, and losing their minds and bugging out and not knowing what to do because they don't know that we're living in a time of the Lord bringing forth judgment. They just thinking that everything is normal. Or this just always happens. But no, it doesn't always happen, man. This place, America, is finished, right? So I'm going to finish reading it, second Esdras 8 and 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them, right? Meaning you 2/3 of the nation of Israel and you heathens that are in this place, America, that in the latter times shall dwell in the world because they have walked in great pride, right? So like I said, and it tells you in Proverbs 11 and 2, when pride cometh, then cometh shame, roughly paraphrasing it. So due to you people's pride, is going to bring you to the point of shame. And I'm going to look up that word shame because that's what these people are feeling right now. All of that pride is ceasing. The word shame goes into a multifaceted emotion, often associated with guilt, embarrassment, or humiliation, particularly stemming from sin or failure, right? And that's why these people are in shame, because they're realizing that this place, America, has failed, man. And they're realizing that they have put all of their hope and trust into this place, and there's no coming back for it, So these people are, like I said, in a sad state of mind right now. But that's why us as brothers and sisters of the Lord, believing in Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, that's why we don't store up treasures in this place, because we know this place is through, and I'm going to go to that precept. This is St. Matthew chapter 6, verse 19. And this is why you want to focus more on spiritual things than, ultimately putting your hope and trust into this system or into this society, because this place is finished, man, and no amount of, working or, no amount of protesting or no amount of, doing whatever it is these people feel like they have to do to try to bring this place back, or bring this place back, I should say, Salakia, is going to save this place, So this is why us brothers and sisters, it's important for us to be putting all our trust and hope in the Lord and storing up those spiritual treasures, man, because this place around you is done, So it says, St. Matthew 6 and 19, it says, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. And that's ultimately why these people here in America are losing their minds. Because like I said, they have laid up a lot of treasures upon this earth, man. And they're starting to see that all of those treasures are coming to an end, man. That all of those riches and all of these things that they put all of their trust and hope into, thinking that it was something that was valuable, they're starting to see that at the end of the day, it wasn't worth it, man. And these people are about to see even more sooner, man, when everything else is stripped away from them, man, So it said, verse 20, but lay up for yourselves, right, treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal, right? So that's what we should be doing right now, as us true believers that believe in Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. We should be trying to store up as many treasures in heaven as we can through, making these videos, reading the scriptures, teaching on the highways and hedges, fasting, doing all of the different things we can do, ultimately to just get closer to the Lord, because we see that this place is done, man, and we want to be in good graces with Yahweh Bashim Yahushua when he ultimately begins to bring, more judgment to this place, America, man. We want to be on the Lord's good side, that we don't get caught up in these miseries that are soon to plague this place, right? And this is verse 21. For where your heart, Salakia, for where your treasure is, there will your heart, meaning your mind, be also. And that's why these people are going to bug out when this place, America, collapses, because their heart, meaning their mind, is only focused on this place, right? And they don't know scripture, man. These people are not spiritual. These are carnal people, man. So they only see what's in front of them and what's around them. But us, as hopeful believers, hopeful elect brothers and sisters, we see what's coming next, which is the kingdom of heaven, man. And that's what we're waiting on. We're not even focused on this place, Babylon the Great. We're ready for this place to fall and be destroyed by the Lord. As it tells you in 2 Peter 3:13, nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for a new heaven and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness, man. Brothers and sisters, they're tired of going to work. They're tired of stressing. They're tired of breaking their backs for this damn devil, man, and not being able to receive anything, working all these days and hours, and you're not getting nothing, only getting by enough to pay bills, and stuff like that, man. This place is not set up for us to win, man. This place is not set up for us to get ahead, So that's why we're ready for this place to be over, and we're seeing the beginning stages of it, right? But, that's pretty much everything I had to say with today's video. Like I said, I pray it be edifying, to the next time I'm going to say shalom to the elect.